limited, income constrained, and employed. Sarah Gallagher with the National Low Income Housing Coalition says her organization is working with state and national lawmakers to reduce some of the burden on people already struggling to make ends meet.
Ensure that there's not rent gouging, how to ensure that rents are not increasing more than income and inflation, and that there's this balance between landlords being able to keep their properties well maintained, but also not putting undue hardship on tenants.
The proposal also includes a just cause provision against evictions, which would require landlords to give all tenants a 30-day notice before evictions. Gallagher says the goal is to introduce the National Tenants Bill of Rights in Congress. In the past 3 sessions, the Arkansas legislature has rejected attempts to revamp the Arkansas Residential Landlord Tenant Act of 2007, which gives landlords immunity from tort liability. Arkansas is the only state where a tenant can be criminally charged for being late on their rent. Gallagher says the Tenants Bill of Rights would have a clause for emergency rental assistance.
Something happens where you can't afford rent that week, or they're making choices between education or food or shelter. There's an emergency rental assistance fund that can be available to help bridge that crisis for a household.
She adds having a federal platform would help level the playing field and let renters know they have the same protections wherever they live. This story was produced with original reporting from Wesley Brown with the Arkansas Delta Informer. For your Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
After serving in the military, life can seem like an endless loop. The cycle can be broken. You're not alone. Visit MakeTheConnection.net to learn more.
Who's Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, it's a beautiful Thursday morning here on the corner of 21st and Main Street, KBF 88.3 FM, Voice of the People Community Radio. The song, yeah, I know most people are long-time listeners were waiting for the theme music for the workplace. We got work to do, but this song is by a local artist named Kevin Craighead. He actually wrote the song, he produced the song based on the 2024 election and with some of the issues going on. And he wanted me to listen to it. Me and our program director, Charles Ray, listened to it, and we just really, liked it. We understood some of the message he was sending, minding your own damn business. Whose body is it anyway? And so when you think about what's going on with these elections, what's being said, I thought it'd be a way to open up the show this and have a conversation. And in some ways, just so grateful and thankful for you tuning in to KADF 88.3 this morning and to the workplace. So before we go any farther, we do have I don't want to say he's a guest. What do they call have to be scary. With food, drinks, music, and a panel of compelling experts, event attendees will leave armed to tackle the next phony email or high-pressure sales call. Scam Jam 2024 is free and open to the public on Thursday, October 17th at 5 p.m. at the University of Central Arkansas Brewer Hedman Conference Center located next door to Arkansas PBS at 350 South Donahue Avenue in Conway. You do not have to be an AARP member to attend, but pre-registration is greatly appreciated for an accurate head count. Registration is available at events.aarp.org/scamjam24 or by calling 877-926-8300 using the event name ARP Arkansas Scam Jam 2024. Free workshop for home buyer and is navigating home ownership like a pro, a free home buyer workshop series. Workshop highlights include credit, home inspections, appraisals, realtors and representation, down payment assistance, loan products, building home versus buying existing homes. This will take place October 19th, 2024 at North Heights Recreation Center. That location is 4801 Allen Street, North Little Rock, Arkansas, 72118. The time will be from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Register on Eventbrite to reserve your free seat. Door prizes and refreshments will be served. And this is sponsored by First Horizon. Free. Pulaski County Sheriff's Office 4th Annual Community Fall Festival, 3201 West Roosevelt Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, 72204, October 26, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. For more information, call 501-340-6613, 501-340-6613. And KABF, Voice of the People, are celebrating its 40th anniversary fundraiser party. This will take place October 19th from 4 to 7 p.m. at St. Michael's Episcopal Church, 12415 Cantrell Road in Little Rock, Arkansas, 72223. It'll be live music and food, featuring a tribute to John Kane and Zach Paulette. This event is free. We are challenging everyone to donate $40 to commemorate the years of KABF serving the voice of the people. If you want to be a part of this monumental event, please call our office at 501-372-6119. And that's our announcements for this morning. And so I want to have a discussion and conversation this morning. And phone lines are open 501-433-0088, 501-433-0088. When we heard the song Who We Are this morning by Craig, I lost my thought. Kevin Craighead this morning. And it's about so many different issues that are being voted on, whether it's abortion rights, reproductive rights, whether it's casinos, whether it's a tenant bill of rights. There's so many different things, but one of the things that is also is going to be a concern with whoever wins the White House is some of these regulations and some of these offices that regulate things that the Trump administration, if elected, wants to get rid of. And one of the most important ones is offices like NOAA, the National Oceanography and Atmospheric Association, NOAA. One is the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. One is OSHA, that they want to dismantle. And those agencies are so important. And when it talks about mind your own damn business in the song, um, uh, the Speaker of the House, Jim Jordan, was in a conference or doing a House committee meeting or having a House committee session, and they were talking to regulators. They were talking to the EPA. And one of the things he said was that we don't want the EPA in our business. We don't want government in our business, and we want you to mind your own business and let the people and let other people decide what they want. And fine, but the problem is, if you're not listening to experts or the people who do this every day, the people who have been in, we just want to say the EPA, people who have been a part of the EPA for 20, 25 years or longer, who know what's going on, who knows about the issues of climate change, who know about the issues,
who have the degrees.
Yes. And so, you really, and it goes back to something Marjorie Taylor Greene said this week, that when Hurricane Milton started forming, she said that, the government is controlling the weather. Now, there are some people who will sit and say, okay, but in reality, Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to mind her own damn business, because what you're going to do is get a lot of people hurt. You're going to get a lot of people in predicaments because they're listening to somebody who does not know. And over the past couple of days, I have been I have some friends in Tampa, and and just want my heart and prayer goes out to all those who are suffering through Hurricane Milton, but also Hurricane Helene, who just came through. And when you start talking about, one of my friends said that they were in a shelter, that they're hunkering down in the shelter. Another one of my friends said that I'm staying at home, but I don't have power. Another one of my friends said that, hey, I live in St. Petersburg, so I'm isolated because all the bridges are closed down. And when you start talking about issues about climate change, and you're trying to listen to somebody who does not know anything about what's going on, but trying to tell you what's going on, and you look at how this is playing out. They've never had a hurricane that formed in the western part of the Gulf of Mexico and came all the way east. Never at a Category 5.
Yeah, went from a tropical depression to a Category 5 like that.
And goes back to Hurricane Helene that just came through. So you have all this stuff going on. And then when you look at some of the polling, climate change, the EPA and all these different agencies, most people that they poll, and I looked at several polls, because one thing I always ask, think about when they're doing polling is, who are they talking to? Who are they doing the poll to? But there was a consistency where 30 to 32% of people, claim Helene came through and it flooded their business out. And so he has not been back to work since Helene. And he said that, the business said, well, hey, if you have the time, if you have PTO time, you have vacation time, or sick time, or whatever, you can use that time, and you'll get paid. But if you don't have it, you're not getting paid. And now he hasn't been back to work, and now Milton has come in, and it has done more damage. So he's like, I don't know, when I'm going to be able to go back to work. He said, unemployment is a nightmare because, they have these rules that say, hey, you're not a seasonal worker, you didn't get laid off or anything like that, so we can't pay you. And then the one thing I do agree with some things that are being said after Helene, the same thing that happened during Katrina, is that FEMA, which is supposed to be there to help offset what you have lost, what you have, what you need, it's a nightmare trying to figure that out, trying to get those funds. And the people who suffer most are going to be people who are Black and poor white. They're going to be the ones that are going to have to have a difficult journey in trying to get some things or trying to get some services. And that's why when you start looking at, and I started this out talking about the election, whether climate change is high on your list or low on your list, it should be on your list. And it should be on your list because in some way, it's gonna affect you. And these agencies that you do depend on, or that are there for you, it's gonna be difficult if those agencies go away. No matter how difficult they are now, or how difficult that they be, but if they go away, then there's nothing. And so that's why it's so important that as we start to listen to people, as we start to talk about voting, as we start to put people in office, that we have to have a better idea of who we want to put in office.
No, that's very true. And going back to your point with your friend that can't work right now, I mean, it's just like how, with the discussion of the opioid epidemic with the big pharmaceutical companies and how they are, assisting with things like with big tobacco and with cancers and with other diseases that you can get from smoking. They have those things, but those are directly related to one another as far as you can prove that. Can you prove that all of these, like the fossil fuels, the improper agricultural practices, the deforestation for cattle land and stuff like that, causing all these issues that are from these larger companies pushing these people to do these things, can they be held responsible? Can we be like, hey, can anybody be like, hey, I'm out of money, I'm out of wages because of all of this stuff happening. And since the 1970s, it has been stated that these types of businesses and these types of corporations that are directly correlated to the climate change are responsible for doing so. Can we go after them? Can we say, hey, Shell, hey, Exxon, hey, where's our assistance? Why are we relying on FEMA? We should be going after those folks. But is that true? Is that can you put those two together?
Well, I think you can, because going back to this idea of a national tenant bill of rights, go after the people that are causing the problem. As you said, they went after the tobacco, they went after Big Pharma. You're gonna pay, and I know this is kind of on kind of going off a little bit from the main topic, but Arkansas guy, in 3 different lawsuits, Arkansas received almost like $4 billion from the opioid settlement. But none of that money went directly to people. None of that money went directly to a family, to someone who has suffered through, or it all went to create, awareness. It went to trying to create some places where some workshops or some centers where people could go. And to me that's problematic, because now you're creating places where people can get paid from that money.
Yeah.
But what type of impact is it having to the people who actually suffer through? And when you start talking about these companies, you can create that, but then who is going to make sure that that money gets down to the people who were impacted the most, and who really needed the most, and who really suffered the most? The one thing that tobacco companies did, they gave money directly to individuals. If you said that, hey, you smoked for 20 years and whether you got cancer or not, but if you can, you show that you smoke, there's money for you that's coming directly to you. And with the opioid settlement, it's going to the state.
Yeah.
And really, what is the state doing? When you look at someone like Sarah Sanders, who won't even increase postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! I got it, Phyllis. I got it right. And so you won't even increase that for 12 months, but you got money to do it. So where's that money going? And so
That's billion with a B.
Yeah. And so.
Yeah, and so this is where I want to jump into the conversation, because I feel like when we I don't know if it's the way we're being conditioned. I don't know if it's the way we've been programmed. I don't know if it's the way the government is set up. But what to me seems to happen is that we will zero in on one particular topic, and we will get all riled up about that topic, and we will respond to it as if it is the most important topic. And so when you talk about a list of things that we need to be thinking about, say climate change should be on your list. I agree with you. It should be on the list. And I think that we have to make sure that we diversify what our thinking around all of the issues. Somebody needs to be talking about climate change, yes. But when you brought up your friend who says, I'm missing my wages, well, let's think about what's happening with Social Security right now. Like, even if he goes back to his job and he works on his job, is he going to be able to tap into his pension? Is that going to be available to him when he is ready to retire? Like, that's also an issue. And if we say we're going to fix the climate, therefore we're going to fix the environment, so you're creating a space for us to live, but I can't even thrive in this environment because of all of the issues that are affecting me through healthcare, through inadequate education, through not having transportation, like not having access to food. I have food insecurity, especially in Arkansas. And so I feel like sometimes I'm worried that we get caught up in one particular topic and then everything else kind of falls by the wayside, when all of these things are connected and all of these things are affecting us every single day. I can't afford to stop living to focus on climate change. I can't afford to stop worrying about healthcare to focus on transportation. All of us need to be thinking about all of these things, and the government needs to figure out how to be working at the same time to make sure that we are discussing this and resolving these issues.
Yeah, I agree with you, 100%, is that a lot of times we don't look at how everything is connected, because it is. It's a connection. One domino falling leads to a lot of dominoes falling. And when you talk about climate change, so what has happened, in your neighborhood to force climate? And I'm talking to someone in Baton Rouge. So Baton Rouge is known as Cancer Alley because of all the petrochemical plants that are along the Mississippi River. And so we were talking, and she started talking about a whole list. Hey, I have a grandmother who died from cancer. I had a brother who died from cancer. I had a cousin who died from cancer. My next door neighbor and 3 people in her family died from cancer. And so when you start looking at that, it's okay, this environmental what they call it, terrorism. I think they use another word for it, environmental.
I just heard injustice, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
right.
Terrorism, injustice, I think all of
Yeah.
it works.
So you got this environmental injustice that leads to healthcare injustice, that leads to if you have a child that's sick that is going to school, and you look at that child and say, well, that child can't learn, can't educate. Well, it could be that the air that he's breathing, it could be that the toxic ground that he's out there playing on his yard is affecting his brain, is affecting his body. All of these things keep going, and then this job that you have where you're breathing in these chemicals also is affecting your family, is affecting your health. So all these things are connected, and you're right, Denise. If you're not addressing them, addressing each one of them, it puts people. It makes people try to put value on what's more important when all of them are valuable and all of them are important.
I just want to make sure that I say that we got Hotep on the screen. We got Takia is here. Takia is agreeing with much of what we are saying. But I want to say that, so then for me, if people say that we've got a list, I agree with you 100%. We should not try to prioritize the list because all of them are important. However, I do want to say that for me, the very first thing on the list should be quality of life. Right. Because if that is your goal, if my goal is quality of life, then all of these things matter equally, right? Whether or not I'm able to have good health, or I'm able to drink clean water, I have health care, I have access to a home that is habitable, because in Arkansas, you can be living in a home, but it's not habitable. Your shelter is not habitable. So I think that if we could get people to focus on that, what is the quality of life that we are offering for every single person, for every single human, regardless of any identity that the world gives you. The only identity that we should be concerned about is human. And if we are human, then there are things that we should be working towards to make sure that we are able to live and thrive as humans. And I think this is probably a great opportunity for us to talk about how we can begin to divest from some of these systems. Because going back to your friend who's dependent on his job to pay him, if he can't go to his job and he can't get paid, then that puts his life and his quality of life in jeopardy. How can we figure out how to have our own businesses that are able to run in spite of what's happening around us? We can still remain self-sufficient. We can still have sustainable lives. We can still be independent. What would that look like? Because maybe it's time for us to start thinking in that way. Because if we continue to keep expecting the government to fix it for us, we're going to be in bad shape.
Yeah.
Wait, here's a comment. Let me get this comment in. So this is from Low. Then there should be an agenda concerning the quality of life and the issues. Right. And so I agree with you. There should be an agenda. And I think that's what we're saying. Transportation is on that list, is an issue. Housing is an issue. Education is an issue. Healthcare is an issue. Climate control is an issue. Reparations is an issue. Like, all of these are the issues, and all of these feed into our quality of life. I think we're agreeing with you 100% that the overarching concern should be quality of life. What falls under that, and what are we doing about it?
And I think it goes back to this thing of voting. One of the things that that pisses me off at the end, and one is coming up, every 2 years the General Assembly, the legislators come and they meet. They're gonna meet in January. Yeah. And every year, and especially over the past 8 years between Hutchinson and Sanders, they come out at the end and they say this: we passed bills that is going to enhance the quality of life for all our Kansans. Every time. And the question be like, for real? Where did you? Because it seems like you passed bills to destroy the quality of life for all our Kansans. Now, if you come out and say, well, we passed bills that will enhance the quality of life for the people we want to enhance their life, for certain people, did then that's an accurate statement.
I feel better if they're more transparent.
Yeah, but to say that you pass bills because you think coming out of the 2 years ago, what they come out with, they came out with a bill to restore education. There was still no law of habitability for tenants here in Arkansas. They took away rights. They won't even let the right of women to choose what they want to do with their own bodies. They would not even allow it to even get on the ballot. And so when you talk about quality of life, you have to have people that are going to be aligned with you. You have to put people who are willing to say, you know what, let's look at the quality of life for everybody, not a Democrat, not a Republican, not an independent, not a libertarian, for everybody. That's why in a lot of these countries, it's great. They have a great system where you have a party that addresses almost every issue. You have a socialist party, you have a Green party, you have a Labor party, you have a conservative party, you have an environmental party. You have all these parties that when they come together, hey, these are the issues, we have to settle these issues.
Yeah, so I have this, I want to make sure we get this comment in from Lo. He says, however, based on everything you just said, however, people keep putting those knuckleheads in office, and you're talking about voting. People are still voting with them. And so for me, Jesse, for you to say, I wish they would be more transparent, I don't see how the government could be more transparent. It is clear to me what their agenda is, and their agenda is not to provide quality of life for every Arkansan. Like you just named a list of ways that they have been transparent. We are not going to extend postpartum for mothers, for parents. We are not going to give quality of life for people who are living, who are renters. The law of habitability. Like they are being very like how much more transparent can they be? And so you said, well, the issue boils down to voting. Well, for me, the issue boils down to race, because I feel like what we are fighting, all things considered, is racism. You continue to keep putting these quote unquote knuckleheads into office because the agenda that you support is agenda that continues to perpetuate this caste system where some people deserve quality of life and other people don't. And so as long as you are continuing to live in that race-fueled environment, this is what we are going to continue to see, a very transparent government that supports the caste system.
Calling you on there.
My thing is, if candidate A is told and candidate B is just as bad, then you're not another head. What option do we have? I'm fighting the second one. What do you mean?
I agree with you. The one thing that you can do is, and people are looking at the top of the ticket. Well, if you don't like those at the top, that shouldn't stop you from voting, because you got to come down to the local, because most of your politics are going to be local, whether it's your city council, whether it's going to be your quorum court, whether it's going to be your state representatives, because those are the ones who are going to make policy directly where you live at.
Well, I think the answer is other people need to run for office. See, we continue to have people who are running for office that are part of the establishment. The people that we have, wait a minute, let me see. Lo says there is the option of a recall petition. And I think, Tony, you can speak to that in a minute, that there's an option for a recall petition. But what I'm saying is that most of the time when we begin to vet the people who are running for office, most of them are already members of what I call the establishment, meaning that they are going to be in line with the status quo. So we are voting for them because you're like, well, this is a black person, or well, they from the East End, or whatever the reason is we decide to vote for them. We're not thinking about how they align in the political climate that's already been established. So we need people who do not align in that way. We need people who are no longer interested in perpetuating the status quo. We need people who are no longer interested in looking good. We need people who are no longer interested in just making sure I have a great sound bite or I have a great picture to post. We need people who are ready to raise up as revolutionaries and say, we're going to turn this thing around. And those are not the people who are running. And because they are not the people who are running, then we don't have a choice. And then when those people do run, when you have a person like Joyce Elliott, when you have a person like Reverend Ryan Davis, when you have a person like Dr. Anika Whitfield who's saying, I'm trying to do something different, we don't support them. So at the end of the day, the voting is falling in our lap, but it also comes into play when we talk about the politics of candidacy that requires so much money. In order for you to, somebody asked me to run for office, and I looked into it, and I realized that I would spend more money running for office than I would make in the office.
Right.
And so we're not putting our money behind those candidates that really could do the work for us. And so it's so much for us to think about as individuals. What are we doing as individuals? Are you putting your name in the hat as a revolutionary? And are you building your base that can fund your candidacy if you do?
Call you on there.
Yes, people love that. Look, I think one thing too, when we get away from this video, one thing they could do is try to take another path a little bit better. Right now, I'm looking at a crew from Louisiana. They have about 15 white guys and not, well, I usually complain about all the Mexicans doing the work. But right now, I'm looking at 15 white guys, I'm counting. 15 white guys doing the work here in Little Rock from Louisiana. Now, why can't the city managers and all these guys make sure that some of this work is going to people of color or local residents? If local residents are looking at everybody from everywhere else doing all the work, and we sit on the sideline or on the porch waiting for unemployment checks and whatever little crumbs they want to give us, I think that's very unfair. We need to get at least, or what they say when they had $7 programs, but we just really need to get back to starting the economic side right. Now, I'm like you when you say show you right. Denise, I think show you right on this case, there is a lot of racism that goes in. When you see, like I say, us sitting on the porch, not having any money to spend, and everybody else coming in and taking our money across the border, whether it's the Mexican border or whether it's the Arkansas border, that is very, very unfair to local residents.
Okay. Thanks, man.
I wonder if in this case, when Solar Beam is talking about the economic pie, I wonder if it would be an example of, because I think you were asking the question, Jesse, of can we prove something?
Yeah.
Would this be evidence of the turnaround of affirmative action? Right?
Yes, it
because
is.
Affirmative action said you would have to designate
Right.
Yeah.
some of those jobs to people of color, people who are women, of different categories of people. But in this case, if you get rid of affirmative action, they do not have to do it. And because of the caste system, they have the power already in their hands to be the ones who get the contract. So now they control who they hire in the contract, and now you don't have anything to say about it. So can you now take them to court? No, because you don't have an affirmative action clause to support you when you go to court. Let me get this comment in from Lowe. Power concedes nothing without a demand. That's by Frederick Douglass. However, there must be a force to put that demand in effect. And I think that's what I keep trying to say. When are we going to raise up as the force that says enough is enough?
Peace can only be peaceful for so long.
Yeah. And so one thing is that's one of the reasons, and I know we go back to who we voted for, and everything. That's one of the reasons why
Overtime.
that so much was put into the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court started. Not only did they get rid of the affirmative action, they gutted the Voting Rights Act. They systematically got rid of this. So now, since and it's so crazy because part of the affirmative action was about race, but then they said, well, you can't use race. Race cannot be an issue. So if you're using race as an issue, I think they had it here. They were giving scholarships at UAMS for minorities who were black women, and they said no, you can't do that anymore. It has to be for all women, even though there's a shortage of black healthcare professionals, even though this was a way for black women to get into the healthcare field. And now we're saying, no, you can't do that, because it's based on race. And so, yes, the reversal of affirmative action has caused this ripple effect all the way down. But it's something else. And I've heard Solovey say this before. And he referenced the fact that they're sitting on the porch waiting on a check, or sitting on the porch playing dominoes or drinking beer. And my thing is, if that person's choice is to sit there, then that's their choice. But you can't say.
Well, usually I don't agree with Sullivan. Usually I don't, but in this case, that's not what I heard him say, because you had made the statement about your friend who was working, but because of the storm, he was not able to work. And because he was not able to work, then he was going to need to tap into unemployment. But unemployment was a mess because of what was going on. So he would be waiting for unemployment, not because he's being, quote unquote, what the white people call lazy, not because he wants to drink beer, but because he is trying to work through the process of when something happens on your job, then you are able to apply for unemployment. So that's what I heard him to say in this particular instance.
Now, with what you just said, I can agree with you if that's what he was saying. But he said this before.
But we're talking about what he said today, right?
And so we're just assuming. When
you assume, you know what they say.
Yeah, we just assume.
And I ain't gonna let you make one out of me.
Yeah.
That's what they say. You make one out of you and me, but I ain't gonna let you make one out of me.
Me neither.
But I think it's fair but I think it's only fair for us, right? Like how many times does that happen to some of us, where because I've made statements in the past, or because I've done something, and let's think about people who are incarcerated right now, and they then get released, and people say, well, you remember they was in jail because they did such and such, or you remember, like, we cannot define people by what has happened to them or what they've done or what they've said in the past. We have to hold people accountable, because we are hoping for, if we're going to talk about humans and what it means to live in the oneness of humanity, we are expecting people to grow and develop. So I know that Sullivan has said those things in the past, but what has he said today? And I think it is important for us to put that message out there, that we are looking and expecting for people to grow in their understanding, grow in their ideas, grow in their thought processes, so that we can now say, okay, I'm with you right now.
Okay. I can get with that. So,
but let me just put this up with what Lo says. There is always the petition process, which we tend to use sparingly, because he had made the statement earlier, there is the option of a recall petition. And he comes back and says, there's always the petition process, which we tend to use sparingly. And I think this speaks to our lack of understanding of what it means to be civically engaged. Like, I don't know about you, Jesse, but when I was in school, we had a class in civics. And when I was in public school, we had a class in civics that was teaching us about the three branches of government, and it was teaching us, but it really did not show us the process. It really did not delve into what you are supposed to do. So I think that there are people like me in the world who understand things on top. We understand the top lines, but the minutia of what it means to be civically engaged, the minutia of knowing that I can write my own bill, that as citizens, as residents, we can write our own bill that we want to push through the legislature. We don't know those things. I don't know all about the petition process, and who's teaching us that. And I think that's by design, that we keep information hidden from folks, because we do know that knowledge is power, and we don't want people to have knowledge. That's why we put folks out there like Marjorie who are saying stupid stuff, because we want to lead people astray so that they won't make the best decisions for their lives.
Okay.
We have more power than we know.
Yes. So, hey, it's been a great show this morning.
Oh, it's 10 o'clock?
Yeah, it's been a great show this morning. Thank you, Jesse, for sitting in with us this morning.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's always great when you sit in. Hey, continue to listen to KAB at 88.3 FM, Voice of the People, for the rest of your day. Don't forget the 40th anniversary KBF's 40th anniversary next Saturday, October 19th, from 4 to 7 at St. Michael's Episcopal Church. Hope you're there. It's going to be a wonderful time. All right. Peace